Hi, everybody. I wanted to talk about Moldavite. It's a very powerful Tektite type of crystal. It's not really considered a crystal, but this is part of a meteorite that hit the Earth about 20 something million years ago. I could be wrong with the dates. However, I won't go into the history of the stone itself, but it is important, I think, for many of you out there who are considering to get this kind of stone, or who may have it but you haven't worked with it in a long time, to actually know a little bit about it. Now, again, Moldavite is a tektite type of crystal or gemstone, and it formed when a meteor hit the Czech Republic area. Um, many years ago, and it formed this formation. It's part of the universe and part of the Earth. When it combined, it created this tektite, and it looks like this. It's almost like a pale green type of mineral. When you hold it up to the light, I don't know if y'all can see it. It's really transparent, almost like a transparent green color, and it has a very beautiful color to it. Now, the stone itself is a stone of transformation, and it actually is supposed to help you transform all the negative things that are maybe, or areas that you are experiencing blockages in. It's a very powerful crystal. Now, I keep saying crystal, but it's actually just a tektite. It's like a gemstone, but it's almost glass-like, so it could be identified as a crystal. I'll call it a crystal for y'all, so that way y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. But it's a very powerful crystal. Um, and unlike other crystals I've worked with an array of different crystals, like um, quartz, clear quartz, selenite, lapis lazuli, amethyst. I've worked with various type of crystals, and I've never quite had the reaction that I have with this moldavite. And it does. They do say that when you get your first piece of moldavite, you do become very attached to it, or it becomes attached to you. And you'll know, holding this type of the moldavite, it's so different, so unique, and there's a lot of people who have experienced it. Now, I got this in on around the last week of April of 2017. So I'll be making updates every so many months to tell you things that have been happening to me with stone. Now, I do keep it on me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Some people would not suggest that, so if I'm not wearing it as a pendant, I do have it um, in my pocket. Now, the one that I have on right now, this is a sunset aqua quartz geode. It sparkles. It's a hollow formation with crystals on the inside. It's a very beautiful stone. Um, Now, going back to the Moldavite, I started keeping a journal because I had seen a lot of videos on YouTube with people who had the stone, were working with it, and how it was transforming things and making changes in their life. And a lot of people react differently to Moldavite. May have it may feel kind of chaotic, your life in the beginning. Again, that hasn't been my experience with the stone. Everybody's reaction to the stone is going to be different. But I did notice one thing. When I did receive this, and it's commonly said that when you receive your Moldavite and you first hold it in the palm of your hand, you're going to feel like a warmth radiating from the crystal, from the Moldavite. And if that is still true, that did occur to me when I held it in my hand. I had that warming sensation, and it was sort of like a flush. It didn't immediately go throughout my whole body, but it started in my hand. Very powerful sensation of warmth, energy. Um, Again, I've never felt this with any other crystal, and I've worked with multiple crystals. And then after a while, I started getting the warmth, or like a flush feeling, going through my face, working down through my body. Again, quite a different experience for me. I had never had that before. And then here's where it gets a little weird. I don't know. I've seen some videos out there, but I haven't heard anybody specifically say that they felt like a tingling sensation, or like a crawling sensation all over your body. Now, the thing is that it just didn't last like a few minutes. This lasted for days. And it reminded me of when I had my spiritual awakening, and I was going through that process of ascension. and you start feeling tingles all over your crown chakra. The crown chakra is about right here, anywhere above your head, and then going down, down the body. Well, when I got the Moldavite, I felt these tingles all over. It's like a crawling sensation, almost like ants are crawling all over you. It was so weird, but for maybe somebody who hadn't gone through that before, it would have been weird. But for me, it was like normal because, like I said, when I had my spiritual awakening, I actually went through that sensation, so it was kind of normal to me. But to say the least, it was a very interesting experience, and that tingling lasted almost a week, I want to say. And it was on all the time. I couldn't shut it off. I thought there was like little bugs crawling all over me. It was so weird. Um, Another thing, the second day that I had the Moldavite on me, I had this weird experience where a moth appeared in the restroom and just flew onto my arm and then flew away. So I thought that's very symbolic because moths are very symbolic to transformation or birth, very spiritual, and they have a connotation of dealing with the spirit realm. And loved ones usually send a message. And again, with the Moldavite, if you do have psychic abilities or you have any kind of abilities that you're trying to tap into, these are going to be. This is going to be a stone of transformation, and it's also going to strengthen your intuition, any kind of psychic abilities that you have, healing abilities. It's going to strengthen it. And what it does, it's sort of like, just like I said, it flushes it. It works from within to without. So it's working both on your inside, your soul at the soul level, and it's also working on your aura or the energy level on the outside. And again, we have different levels of our aura that surround the body. So it's very interesting. And then I want to say this almost, you know, it didn't stop me from doing anything. I'm just referring to my notes here that I had so I wouldn't forget to tell you. But it was so interesting. And then people say that when you sleep with the Moldavite, you do tend to have a lot of lucid dreaming. And that was true. That did occur for me. But prior to the Moldavite, I've had lucid dreaming before. Probably not as at the level that I've had this with the Moldavite. But I did have a dream. Um, and I remember that it was just so weird. And another thing is like when I went out shopping or around people, people tend to like look at me in a certain way, whereas before, like I was more unnoticed. Well, people like that are negative or that carry a bad or negative low energy, they tend to gravitate away from you. But the ones that carry like a higher vibration or that are very open to spirituality, they tend to gravitate to you. And 2 days in a row, when I went to the store, I actually had some people who had disabilities, mental disabilities, and they gravitated towards me, almost like, but it wasn't so much that they gravitated towards me because of me myself. I have a feeling it had something to do with the actual Moldavite. It's almost like they see something, because anyone that has a mental disability, that doesn't mean that they're a blessing from God, and they have special sensitivities. I would say they're more sensitive than people who just have spiritual gifts and haven't done that. So a lot of times people with disabilities, we tend to look at them and say, well, there's no way they would know this, or it's just them being in a certain state that that's normal behavior to them. But I tend to believe that people with mental disabilities or people with any kind of disabilities are actually quite smart. Something that science may not have proven, but I do see that there was like something that they saw in the Moldavite. And what is weird, the second day I had it in my pocket, I didn't have it out, and they still gravitated toward me. So it does something to bring the right people into your life, and that's something that I have been observing off of different YouTube videos that people have been saying. Well, when you have the Moldavite, it attracts the right people to you, and it gets away that other people. Another thing that I did notice is that with my technical devices, my computer, my laptop, my smart device, they all started acting up with the Moldavite, basically just freezing up or not acting correctly. But then, this is I would say this is about my third week, or going on my third week of having the Moldavite. And everything seems normal. Nothing seems out of the ordinary. But I do feel better, and I notice that I have a lot more clarity. Not that I didn't have it before, but just overall, it's I can see things a lot more clearer with the Moldavite, and it just I know that it's very powerful. Tektite type of crystal. And I got mine. You have to be careful when you're purchasing your Moldavite because there's a lot of people who are selling fakes. So if you want to get from a trusted source, I definitely would recommend Intervision crystals. They're based out of New York, and the guy Mike Eggleston is awesome. He's very informative, and he does give you a certificate of authenticity. And on his website, he does have also an article that explains how to spot fake Moldavite from an authentic piece. And there's going to be a time in the future when they're not going to probably have any more of the Moldavite because it's such an unlimited or scarce resource, and a lot of people have been harvesting this kind of tektite from that area in the Czech Republic. So, if you're wanting a stone of transformation, it may have adverse effects for you. Um, some people have anxieties a lot larger. If you suffer from anxieties already, you may notice that you start having a lot more sensitivity or anxiety attacks or panic attacks with the Moldavite. For me, that hasn't yet happened, and I'm hoping it doesn't, because I did have that at one time in my life. So I'm definitely going to keep up this blog going as a part 2 to this, as the weeks progress, and anything else that that I didn't think of right now, that could be beneficial to anyone out there that is searching for it. If you do feel like you are getting panic attacks or anxiety, or you're feeling, you know, adverse to the Moldavite, if you do have it and you've worked with it, you may need to set it down for certain periods of time and then put it back on, because sometimes certain crystals may not be very conducive to working for the person. And if you notice that that's not working, then you may want to get like a apophyllite, I hope I said that right, on that crystal, or a Herkimer diamond, and pair it with the Moldavite, if you have it. So that way they balance out the Moldavite, and it kind of grounds your energy. Another crystal that would work well with the Moldavite would be hematite. So if you have hematite, you may want to keep a piece of it with you when you're sleeping, because if you have the Moldavite, it can increase your out of body or astral projection, and astral traveling during dream time. A lot of people have experienced that. I have not yet experienced that, so hopefully, I will keep you updated as things progress. But yeah, this is a very different type of crystal gemstone from Mother Earth. I mean, it's not from the universe. I mean, it's not your ordinary crystal, but totally, I'm very open to it, and I love working with different things. So, this I came across Moldavite about a year ago, and I've seen it, but I hadn't really bought it. It's fairly expensive for a piece of Moldavite. Depending on the grams, they count them by grams. So you can get a piece from anywhere from 1 gram all the way up to 5 grams, or even more. But yeah, if you're getting a large piece of Moldavite for a really cheap price, that should be like a red flag for you, because most Moldavites is weighed by a gram. So like my pendant was about, I would say, in the price range of $80 for a small piece, which is about 3.5 or maybe 4.5 grams. So definitely wanted to keep y'all updated. Thank you so much, and blessings and love and light.